Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you all for joining us today for our youth and young adult Taleem Sunday. Um, I'm Sister Fatima Ali, uh,
um, Brother Khalil Ahmed.
and today we're going to be talking to you about a topic that has been very important to us as young adult Muslims navigating the world, and that we hope will be helpful for you. Today, we want to talk about um, our journey and the journey that every young adult takes as a Muslim when they step out of the house, when they transition out of their home with their Islamic family and they step out into the world. Whether they're stepping into college or stepping into their first job or moving to a new city. And the journey that we all take in establishing our Islamic identity outside of the home as a young adult in a new context. Today, we
Yeah,
wanted
that
to share our own experiences and what it was like. Ooh, am I breaking up a lot?
little bit, but I heard you most of the way. So
Okay, fix
nice.
my Wi Fi. Khalil, if you'd like, you can take the lead while I troubleshoot.
Well, I would like to start off with Surah, like Soprano recitation. Usually, like I'm just do all Fatiha. So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanirrahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Brothers and sisters, I've been absent for a while. I've been not on the youth Taleem in a long time, so I'm happy to be back. This is my first stream in a long time. Uh, and I'm glad to have Fatima on my side. Um, let's see, the topic of leaving the household and still maintaining all your Muslim practices and everything like that, and how it affects you when you're not accountable by either your family or anyone else if you're outside of your Muslim community. We all have to keep that mindset that God is always watching and He knows every action that you do. So having that community to be there to support you when you're leaving your environment, you're leaving your to go out on your own, and what how that is so important to keep that Muslim identity with you when you're leaving out the house. And that comes with just like the stress of like bills or finding anything like a new job or college and peer pressure, if anything like that. Having not having always your communion or someone to respond back to when you're in those situations where you're isolated and alone, always coming back to your community or finding new ways to come back to your Muslim identity, or just never lose it. So it always comes with um, new challenges and new rises that comes with leaving the household. And one of them that I can say I experienced was time management. You know, when no one's there to remind you every day it's time to make prayer or something like that, I didn't have to have it on my phone, or I should have been put it on my phone, but um, my mom was always there to remind me. So that's the blessing I always think I took granted of when when I get on my own and working every day. I didn't know exactly what time to make prayer, but I could tell by the day on or different times. But I was always focused on doing something else. Um, and that could get you lost. That can get you lost real quick if you don't really identify that fast. And then also putting yourself in situations that you don't need to be. And just knowing when or how to call yourself back. And I think as Muslims, we have that ingrained to us as raising a child, being risen up, saying that Allah is always there to fall back on, which He is always. And knowing when you're in a bad situation and when to get out, and also trying to not make your home environment something that is haram or something that is bad towards your mental state. Always putting up different decorations or reading the Quran every day, and that's different things that I would like to implement and explain on. Go ahead, Fatima. You ready?
I love the tips that you just shared. And I'm going to be honest, as I'm thinking back to college, that time management thing is real, especially when it comes to fitting those prayers in. I remember in college specifically, I had these classes that would be back to back, like 10, 11, 12, 1 sometimes. And on Juma Friday, I'd have to get really creative with how I'd fit lunch and Salat in, right? So in between one class, I might run to the diner and take a to go lunch. And then in between another class, I might run to the library and pray before like my next class started. And it was sometimes it was like, oh, I've got 5 minutes because the teacher went over. So how am I going to make this work? But there's also something very rewarding about being able to get to the end of the day and to say, hey, I prayed like my Jama prayer, or I managed to get Dhuhr in. It's like Isha time, and I don't have to pray like 4 prayers because I managed to pray them on time. So, Alhamdulillah, when we're able to create those systems that help us get our prayers in on time. And certainly it can be a challenge, but as we read in the Quran, فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Certainly, with every hardship comes ease. Um, so, alhamdulillah. It, there's a book that I was checking out the other day, and it's called The Obstacle is the Way. And at the central idea of the book is that the challenges that we navigate through are what help us to develop our character, and help us to establish who we are and what we truly care about. So, as we navigate these challenges as young adults, we have to remember that yes, there can be struggle in figuring out how to establish our Islamic identities when we don't have that scaffolding and support of our um, the family that we were raised in. Like if we're in a new context where we don't have that immediately in our physical presence, um, but the struggle of establishing that provides us with the ease of being able to rely on those communities or that home environment or those habits that we've built along the way to support us in our process.
Habits and daily activities that we do.
Yes.
That's very important. Always when coming into a new place or a new environment, those habits is what maintains us. So it can easily get replaced by new habits of like easily get replaced by other habits that you start doing just because of day-to-day things. So we got to maintain those habits that keep us who we are, and that's sometimes easy to do more than others, but definitely don't want to pick up any bad habits that are projected on you by others. So like saying like um, during work, I would go to instead of like taking my lunch, I would make my own lunch and try to find the nearest mosque there so I can make prayer. And I would take 30-minute breaks, and I had like 30 minutes in my work time where I would try to find that. And somehow I didn't know that I could take an hour. So I was like, what? I didn't know that. So now I had an hour. Now I have more time on my hands, so I can get prayer in, lunch, all that. And it was easy to me. I didn't know that, so no one told me or anything because I usually work on my own. But the thing is, just like creating those habits of even during work, even when you're busy, having that reminder that prayer is there, and you have to at least make extra prayers so you don't miss it while you're working. And then, you know, my mom and my brother Abdullah, the one that lives in Dubai, he was telling me the story about how even like the most sickest man can make prayer. He can't even raise a finger. He can just close his eyes and make prayer. So it's always it's it's great to make it on time, but even if you don't, there's no excuse why you can't miss prayer. So there's always times to make prayer. You just have to have your have to get it. Sorry, I'm stumbling. It's always a priority to make prayer. You should never that should be one of your top priorities all the time. Always listening, always keeping your mind on prayer. And that's sometimes hard to do. But having that as a top priority, if you keep reminding yourself in daily habits, just like as her said, don't get yourself mixed up without that. And you get really lost. And people really take advantage of that, take that for granted when they're moving into a new place because they're having a bunch of list of things to do, a bunch of different things they have to do, um, getting furniture, getting everything that you need, and in college classes, and trying to fit all your studying in and everything like that, and just making sure all your things are maintained. So we can get clustered and we can get really confused on different things regarding around prayer, but I'm just saying, as a Muslim, and confusing things time to time again, you're dealing with a bunch of stuff. Um, Prayer gives you that break that you need so you can refocus, and that's really really important as Muslims. Um, and then one of the other topics we was going to speak on. Sorry, it was a bad transition. What was the other topic? I forgot.
Okay, I had two thoughts. First, so as you were talking about prayer, one thing that popped into my mind was that just like how when we're in school, we have meetings with a counselor, like a college counselor, to make sure we're on track. Our 5 daily prayers are our meetings with Allah to keep our heart and soul on track. So if if you have like a meeting with a counselor who's helping you get like that ace job or internship that's going to propel you into success, you're not going to miss that
No.
if you've got yourself like together. So if we have 5 daily prayers with Allah, 5 daily meetings with Allah that are set to uh, set our heart and soul in line with what pleases Allah, so that we're propelled to the success of Jannah, it's important that we do not miss that. Inshallah. And the second topic that we had in mind was talking about community, finding community as a young adult. And as someone who, I can talk about my experiences here for sure. Um, I would advise all young adults when you're moving to a new city or when you're taking on a new job or when you're searching for colleges to apply to, look into the local community to see if there's an Islamic community for you to plug into. So when I went to college, I did not look at the local Islamic community or the Islamic community on campus to see what was there. And when I got there, the Muslim society was actually very small. There was only one other student in the Muslim society when I joined as a freshman. And then as a sophomore, that student he was an international student. He left and got stuck. His visa expired. So that year, I was the only Muslim in the Colby Muslim Society.
Took it over. Okay.
Yeah, essentially. So I would advise first students as you're looking at colleges to apply to or young grads as you're looking for cities to go to, see if there's a community there for you to plug into. Like, see if there are masjids there. See if there are Muslim professional organizations there. Or I also know that there are like Muslim third spaces that are becoming popular in cities that are just like social spaces where young adults can come young adult Muslims can come gather and find social support. So, uh,
Yeah, and don't forget to remind somebody to because my brother, he is in college. He's in Marshall University right now up in West Virginia. Um, I asked him, "Did you find a masjid over there, Shadi? Like, did you find masjid?" He's like, "Well, he didn't give me an answer then." He was like, "But recently, I knew I reminded him about it. I don't know if it came from me or he just said, okay, I'm just gonna find a masjid for today's Friday." But I saw him post he was inside a mosque. I was like, Alhamdulillah, he found himself a nice mosque over there in West Virginia. And I was like, because I know he's not around any family. Like he's all over there alone in West Virginia, but we call him all the time, and we always see what he's going on in his life and everything that's going like that. And we see his success as growing as a football player and over there, and he's making a big splash. Like, and we love communicating with them, but other than our family, I'm not sure how much access of community that he has over there in the Muslim. So I was made sure, like, have you went to a mosque? Is there a mosque that you go to West Virginia? I asked him that question because when he was here, I took him to Mercy Masjid, um, and we made prayer over there. And he came and he made prayer, and I made sunnahs because I was setting up before the masjid. Like I have my own security job over there at Mercy, and yeah, it was great to do that with him because I haven't did it in a long time. I don't get to see him all the time. So having that always family oriented when you go outside of that community, make sure you find that new community. And I saw my brother found a masjid, and and he's doing great. So I'm praying for him in all my prayers, and hopefully he's making his prayers for me and his family and his success. And hopefully I can be up there with them because I'm trying to get up there and get to watch all those games. But other than that, it was nice to help him find that community, even though it was maybe just subconsciously in his mind, like, okay, I have to go to Islam, I gotta go to prayer this Friday because you could get lost in there by yourself because you don't know. Um, I'm always praying for all my brothers and everything like that. But seeing that was definitely put ease into my heart that he's keeping connection with God and everything like that.
mm,
Um, and for me, other than that, um, we always have life problems, and we try to find solutions. And sometimes we can be impatient and lose that patience, and we just gotta recollect, always come back. And I've been experiencing that for myself personally recently. That I have a tremendous amount of patience, but sometimes it can get really, really, really tested. And I always have to calm down and make a prayer to make sure that I don't go over that cap that ruins things in my life. So always come back to that. And having a community, having that family connection is something that I feel like I took granted of when I was there. So it's having all these different experiences and challenges for me that I'm learning as a new adult. And the man is helping me explore all the different options that I have. Um, Now that I got more time on my hands and I can do more stuff, I'm going back to my community, going back online, and just reconnecting with everything. And it's been a blessing. So, uh,
I,
um, another. So you can go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah. Did I cut you off just
No,
there?
no, you're good.
Okay. So in your stories, I heard four super important takeaways. The first one being, as you move away, don't forget to stay connected to your family, friends, and home community. Even if you're far away, you can still find support in those relationships and support in maintaining your Islamic practice through the reminders or moral support they may be able to give you, even if they're far away. The second thing that I heard was the importance of walking into a Muslim community and getting involved in that community. Once you're involved, if you have the opportunity, you're able to take ownership and make it and make a contribution. Um, and once you, in my experience, once I feel like I'm able to make that contribution, I'm more invested in my engagement. Um, because once you're a part of it, you have
That focus.
that focus and more reasons to keep coming back and stay engaged. That's something that crosses my mind. Um, the third thing that crosses my mind is not the importance of both engaging with the community and finding your peers in the community. I'll have to say, when I think back on life, at different stages of my life, I can see how, like, the people I surrounded myself with, uh, either positively or negatively impacted, like, my outlook, my worldview, my religious practices, and my sense of connection to those things that were important to me. And when I was surrounded by positive peers who supported me in my religious practice and in my spirituality, I built better habits. And those habits serve me better today than times when um, I perhaps didn't always have that peer support. So, alhamdulillah, find that peer support wherever you are. Find, even if it's just one person makes a huge difference. Find your buddy and support each other in your practice.
So
And
I know exactly what you're saying. So my mom, before last Eid that we had, I think it was the first day Eid, the day before, she took me to the Spanish Muslim community that just got built. I think it's down in Alief, in that area. Um, I went to go visit there, and I never been to that masjid before. And right around, my mom didn't even let me say hi before telling me go help set up chairs and help people. I was like, okay, I'll help out. So I was um, setting up all the sodas and everything to break fast and everything like that. And he was like, I forgot his name, but I made a friend because he was helping me set it up, and having that keep somebody to talk to when, because we stayed there for like 3 hours, and when time to break fast, I was able to talk to him, tell him about everything, and we made a connection. So it was new, but I cannot remember names. I'm really bad with names, but we made a connection. I got to talk to him about everything that I was going, talking about everything, how my fast was going and everything. And I saw my sister was there. My sister Fazia was there, and she waved past me because my mom didn't tell her anything to do. But I was looking at my sister, and she sat down with me, and that was a good experience because we can have a group conversation with family, even though we're in a different community. And of course, my mom, she knew a lot of people, uh, but she rotates masjids, and that's something that um, that's something I want to be able to do as well. I was always coming to either Mercy or Water for Dean, but that's kind of the same community, mostly. I'm not sure, but the leadership positions over there. And then, but meeting new Muslims and knowing that there's like different things. I think they had a Spanish Quran and like Arabic, so it was cool seeing that as well. And it makes you realize, like, okay, you can even be Chinese and Muslim. Every Muslims all around the world is not just in this one community. So I had an advantage of meeting one of my brother Abdullah's friends, which he was in Dubai. My mom introduced me to him. I forgot his name as well, but she really wanted me to meet him as well. So it was cool that even in Dubai, my brother had friends and Muslims that were here as well that we can always communicate and contact with. Because I think he told me to visit the Spanish. He said, "Yeah, there's some people over there that can help you out." I was like, "All right, I'll check it out." But I think it just slipped my mind. But yeah, it's very important to broaden your horizons and not just keeping the same habits. Of course, having your maintained daily prayers, fasting, all the things that make you a Muslim, stay as those habits, but also broaden your horizons as being more social. That is actually helps you more in becoming a leader in your community or just someone that contributes a lot more. And of course, the more you contribute, the more you help, the more blessings you get, the more rewards you get for the next life. And I always appreciate the people that remind you every day or every time they see you to keep to your practices, keep to who you are, and do not become lost in this world of attraction and everything that could bring you down to that level. And always be humble. So all these different tips, it's great to have those reminders in mind and just having those new experiences in new communities, and it gives you a better outlook. Gives you being socially. I know we always socially separate past couple years, but it keeps you being social. And that was one of the good experiences, a great experience I had as this Eid. Of course, Eid is always great, but other than the one other celebrated Eid that I had, helping out with snow cones and everything like that. I was in the front of the masjid making snow cones for everybody, and I helped out with everything. But that was one of the cool experiences I had, and I appreciate my mom and Allah for doing that for me.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, that's awesome. I've definitely been to Centro Islamico, or Islam in Spanish, one of their locations. It was right next to one of the Amman academies, and I remember going for Juma once, and afterwards, you know how folks that are at masjidwdm sell bean pies? Someone there was selling halal tamales. I thought that was super cool. So to that point, definitely broadening your horizons, engaging with Muslim communities you're unfamiliar with, and building that wider network of support, I think is really important as you're solidifying your own practices and community as a young adult Muslim. And as we approach closing out, I just want to reinforce that idea that we've hit on a couple of times of building those consistent practices that you do on on a daily basis to support your Islamic and spiritual life. The Prophet ﷺ said to take up good deeds only as much as you're able. For the best deeds are those done regularly, even if they are few. And so, if you're in a spot where you're just trying to figure out how to pray your 5 daily prayers on time, that's okay. Super focus in on that and get those 5 prayers in. Once you build that habit, you can habit stack. You can build those 5 prayers. You can set those 5 prayers and get those in on time. Afterwards, you can dhikr for 5 minutes, or you can dhikr for 10 minutes. You may find yourself in the evening after building that habit of praying and then building that habit of dhikkering, that you're going to build a new habit of reading the Quran for 5 or 10 minutes. It's all about starting small and building up and remembering Allah. And Allah says in Surah 2, Ayah 45, to seek Allah's help with patient perseverance and prayer. And it is indeed hard except for those who are humble. So as we go in to improve our spiritual lives and our religious practices, as we jump in, we can resolve to be patient with ourselves and with the practice, perseverant with the process, engage in prayer, both our daily prayers and personal prayers to Allah, as we strive to establish those practices, and to stay humble, knowing that we're imperfect, but that Allah has given us the capacity to grow and that He's made humans inherently moldable. So we have the capacity to mold ourselves into better Muslims with His support and guidance, inshallah.
Yeah. And closing thought made me think of just different things that my dad passed on to me. I've been reading books more, and one of those books that he recommended was The Power of the Subconscious Mind. That is very, very important. Um, it was almost like a self help book when I actually read it, but it gave us a lot more. It gave me more insight about how much control we have over ourselves. Like sometimes we think we can't do something, but just saying it and bringing it forth into our conscious mind and having the power of our subconscious, things will come to us. Um, Things will just come to us, and we'll be able to calm ourselves down. And even outside factors, we'll be able to control. So just keeping in mind that for building those habits, just make sure your conscious is in control and not just subconsciously always doubting yourself. Because if your conscious mind is saying, I can't, I don't have time to make prayer, I don't have time for all that, I don't have time for doing things, or I can't do this, I can't do that, subconsciously, your mind is going to pick that up and your body will follow whatever your subconscious is saying because it controls everything that your conscious mind does. So I know it's kind of confusing, but honestly, just saying that, keeping that in, repeating that process of telling yourself that you can do the right things, you can do that, everything that you need to be able to do will come true and be able to harness that power that we have in all of us, having that subconscious power. But having that great thing about community, wrap it up. Sorry, I'm rambling. Community, make sure you keep in touch with everybody, with your family. If you're out, and make sure you make new connections with other Muslims, if just to broaden your horizons, just to see what's out there. And go ahead. That's me.
Yes, sir. And thank you for that note on the subconscious mind. Don't let your negative thoughts sabotage your potential for growth and your ability to nurture your relationship with Allah. And interrupt those negative thoughts or those self defeating thoughts with thoughts that reinforce what Allah says about you.
Oh yeah, can't get better than truth. So it's
Yeah.
only the truth. There's no faults. Can't find it. Only the truth. But it was great. It was great talking to you again. It was a great experience all the time. I appreciate everything. I'll be glad to come back next time.
Oh yeah, alhamdulillah. I'm glad you could make it back on. Hopefully you'll be joining us for more in the future, and this is going to be really great. Let me see. Do we have? I think that's the end of our presentation for today. Do we have any? Um, do we have any questions from the audience? Oh, thank you, brother Khalil. Jazakallahu khair.
Oh yeah, I was just checking the comments, but
Okay,
yeah,
you were logging off.
no, not yet. But yeah, you're very much welcome. Is there any other comments? I only see one.
Let's wait and see. Alhamdulillah, may Allah bless you both and me. Jazakallahu khair, Sister Sultan. Sister Sultana. Okay, I don't see anyone or anything. I think that means we're good to go. And shortly, someone will be logging on to give the announcements. I'll send them a message to let them know.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Alrighty, everyone. We will have someone joining to present the announcements shortly. Stay tuned for those announcements. And Jazakallahu khair for joining us all today.
All right.
Alrighty, someone should be online to present the announcements soon. or shortly. Jazakallahu khair. Thank you for joining to listen. Stay tuned for the announcements and assalamu alaikum.